I'm John Wilson. Welcome to Owned and Operated. Twice a week, we talk about home service businesses, and if you're a home service entrepreneur, then this is going to be the show for you. We talk about our own business in residential plumbing, HVAC, and electric, and we also talk about business models that we just find interesting. Let's get into it. Service Scalers is running a promo right now where if you sign up for a year of service, you get a free website, which is awesome. We just did this in one of our businesses and it really helped a lot. It was a brand new look. Plus we got great SEO with it and PPC to help. So make sure you check out servicescalers.com, promo code OWNED. Welcome back
to Owned and Operated with your host,
nice delivery,
John Wilson and Jack Carr, also known as the HVAC Jack. Sorry. This is like my dream. My actual dream job is like Bruce Buffer on the announcement in like And for anybody who's on the editing team listening to this and sees all my terrible outtakes, just ignore what I just said. But
yeah, I'm ignoring them. No, great delivery. I liked that a lot. That was good.
What's going on, John?
Dude, Whiplash. I got some Whiplash. So, So April, I think we talked about this. We had some weird options stuff. We had some whatever. And one of my favorite things about my team, and this is like a big plug. So for those of you that listen, know that I love you. You are wonderful.
Aww.
But one of my favorite things about my team, and especially Brandon and my senior leaders, is that when we have a problem, we hit it. And that's
huge.
That sounds easy, but you go through these phases where you don't know how fast you can attack something.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, if I attack this super fast, am I going to break the company? Like, if I'm driving a yacht, can I turn that thing like a rowboat? That's the phrase that Brandon's use. If I try to move something too fast. Yeah, so if you're driving a cruise ship, you can't turn that thing like a rowboat. Like, it can't turn on a dime. But in the face of highly urgent and important, my team really stood up to the plate in the past couple weeks, which was awesome. So we had an issue in April where options dropped off the map and all this stuff. And we took a hard look at ourselves top to bottom and found where we were failing, developed a plan in 2 days, and we executed on it. And now this started with, how are you doing? Like, April was a tough month. Revenue was down like 20% We're in May and we will pass all of April's revenue like next Monday. And we still have like half a month left to go.
That's awesome.
So we have Whiplash because like we just had a really tough month. It was April was our lowest revenue month in like 8 months. And May looks like it's on track to be a record of all time month.
Hey, yo.
So like, yeah, so we're just sort of like, what the fuck? But the team really executed along the way because it didn't just happen.
Yeah.
Like, we got there because April was so bad. We reacted so fast and so hard, and we solved the issues that caused it, which was training and focus and accountability. And we hit those motherfuckers hard.
So that's what I was going to ask is like, I mean, I think that's a huge one, right? You're having the greatest month because you fixed the problem that made you have the lowest month. What was like the biggest driver? What was the switch? Like, that sounds like a silver bullet for a lot of people out there.
Yeah.
Like you said, options dropped off. So somehow you got options back. Like, what was the accountability factor? What did all that look like?
Well, it's
Can
this
you
like
talk about it or no?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I can. Yeah. So it was. We had a great quarter one, and the focus of quarter one. There's probably a better place to start here. We took our eye off the ball.
We got complacent, right? if you have a really good quarter, you just kind of get lax. Is that what you're thinking?
No, not even that. So like the business gets bigger. We start doing things better. We start figuring out pieces, right? So like right now, and I've been documenting the journey, folks. Like if you want to know what it's like to grow 70% when you started at 17 million, listen to the last 6 months of the show. Like we talk about it every week. But like we are actively every week figuring out like big chunks of the next step. So and sometimes failing in the previous steps that we already solved. So that's what happened here. So late Q4, we really, like in the past year, have dialed in lead flow. I don't think we're 10 out of 10. I don't think we're the best in the country. I do think we're 7 out of 10. I think we're really close. I think we're doing things that I've heard of very few other companies doing, and the ones that are doing it are like $1 billion. So I feel like pretty confident. So we really focused on that, and we really focused on raw sale output. And somehow we lost sight of the basic KPIs that guide us. And those KPIs could be training, they could be options. Like we were still focusing on average ticket, we were still focusing on conversion rate, but we weren't focusing on the upstream of that, which is training and options. Yeah. So we sort of focused on like the middle part. So we lost track of it. And which is shocking for a number of reasons. Like one, what else could we be thinking about except for that? Right? Like that's the determiner of our success. Two, we've made massive investments, like more than most people listening to this show, into making sure that this never happens. Like we have management layers whose jobs is to make sure that this never happens. And it happened. So then we take a look at like what the heck happened here?
Yeah.
Like where did we fail in the chain of accountability? So we did a training on the chain of accountability and how it works. Like what if you don't do your job, the next person can't do their job, they can't do their job, on and on. And it's a top to bottom problem. Like this isn't me throwing stones at anyone on my team. Like if we lost track of options and I made those investments, then I lost track of options.
Yeah.
I didn't hold people accountable. They didn't hold their people accountable, and so on. Like this is a top down problem. Starts with me. So we were in a training a couple weeks ago, and we were like, what is going on? Like the schedule is busy. It's April, and we are literally booked out. Like, because we've been, March was really tough for leads. March was the only month for about 2 weeks that was actually difficult for leads. Like we haven't struggled with leads in almost a year since I in-housed marketing. March was tough. And then we get really busy again in April, and we're just like, literally what is happening? Like our salespeople's schedules are full, like more appointments than in months. Our plumbers are full. Our electricians are full. Our drain guys are full, and revenue is down from 2 weeks ago. Like this doesn't make sense. And we're in a training, like clicking around on this big TV, and we accidentally look at average options. Like we glance at it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Brandon, and he was like, hold on. That says 1. That doesn't make sense. We couldn't possibly just be doing one option. The idea that we were only offering one option was so preposterous to us that we never even looked at it.
Mm-hmm.
It couldn't have possibly been the case that we slipped that badly. And that's exactly what happened. We slipped that badly. Where our average options was under 1.
And so to fix that, we got everyone back in to training, focused on 1, techs need to get the training to offer good options. And then 2, you guys, like the chain of command needs to be this, and this to review that, or like just in simple terms.
The last month of our life has been dominated by this problem.
Okay.
So
not that simple.
And solution. No, the thing that turned like a cruise ship was we immediately re-onboarded every single service technician in the company. Because if we were missing options, then we are literally not living up to our core values.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not. One of our core values is transparency, which is selling through education. The definition of selling through education is educating consumers on their options. So like my entire company was missing core value, which that's a big deal to me.
That's a pillar.
So we immediately onboarded everybody. We did the same thing with our managers and explained what the issue, like what we found the issue was. And we reset the chain of accountability, and we gave clearer expectations for what I expect, what they should expect, and what everyone should be expecting going forward. That was the first week.
We've talked quick before you jump off that one. First week, we've talked about in the past the carrot and the stick. Was that more of a carrot talk or more of a stick talk?
That's a carrot. A carrot is what's in it for you.
Yeah. No,
so Jack's referencing.
We've talked about on the pod before.
Jack's referencing my carrot and the stick. I'm a carrot and the stick person. So like I'm going to start with how this is good for you, how this is good for me, how this is good for the company. And I'm going to set you up with a structure to win. It's going to be a comp structure. It's going to be a bonus plan. It's going to be something like it's a carrot, right? If that doesn't work, then what will follow is the stick. You're either going to conform and do what the business needs, or we're going to find someone to conform and do what the business needs.
Yeah.
But business needs what it needs. So, carrot and the stick. I don't like to play around. We're going to $100 million. You're on the bus or not. I don't know. So the first week was re-onboarding, first 2 weeks really, and then really getting into managers to understand their part of it. After that started happening, we started seeing some really positive results. Obviously, sales doubled, like more than doubled, which has been insane, which has been good, like a good insane. So sales doubled because we're finally doing what we're supposed to be doing. And May, for the first time probably ever, I think we're almost going to completely max out our available capacity. It's never happened. We've always had a little bit of capacity left over. I think we're going to sell every minute that we could have sold with our current staffing.
That really is crazy.
It is crazy.
That's really crazy. Like for anyone who doesn't understand, that is absolutely crazy.
That is bonkers. Most companies expect to sell 80%.
80%.
We will sell a little bit over 100% of our capacity this month. So that is bonkers. But then, like we started winning, everything started grooving again. And then, things started popping out. So we did the same thing. We're like, we started training on options and HVAC started doing really well. HVAC service, which typically for us, it does not do anything. So we start to unpack that a little bit more, and we realized that we undershot our expectation of HVAC service by $10,000 a day revenue. So in the past 3 weeks, we've gained $10,000 of revenue a day. So
that's huge. What does that look like in
that's
percent?
$2.6 million created out of absolutely thin air that did not exist previously.
So it's like a give or take a 10%.
Yeah.
Wow. That's wild. That's also
we have this like, I don't know how to describe this because I know I'm going to say this and I'm going to say it wrong. So if I've ever called you at 8:30 or 9 p.m., this is for Rich Jordan, and like just vented about my frustration about this, I'm sorry. So there's this like, there will be a moment in your business where you randomly find millions of dollars of capacity that you didn't know was there. And it could be anywhere. You just find this sort of like bucket of money that you're like, hold on, what the fuck? And it's typically like for HVAC service was one, drain service was another, excavation, like it's happened in almost every department that we've had. I think a statistic that's going to blow people's mind here, our plumbing service department has not dramatically grown in size from 4 years ago. Its revenue is probably 5 times because we find these issues and then we optimize the hell out of it.
Mm-hmm.
So like HVAC, and to give another example, I just had this conversation with someone earlier. Our company-wide average ticket's about $2,900. Like company-wide average ticket, every invoice ever, $2,900. That's insanity.
Jesus.
Because you take these little parts of your business and you optimize it. And we just keep like HVAC service is another one. I have the same size HVAC department by head count, give or take maybe two heads, that I had in 2021. And my revenue is 4 times that this year. Because you like find these different things and you're like, okay, well, suddenly we just gained $2.6 million in service. That actually broke our projections. Like HVAC was going to do 9 million this year. Now it's going to do 11. So we're just like, it's mind boggling, and it's infuriating, really because you find these things and or like weekends was another one.
Yeah.
Where like weekends was kind of like a tweak. Yes, but it's adding $3 to $4 million this year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I agree it makes sense, but it's also insane.
Yeah, I mean, when I think about this, I think about it more as like the hidden gem, and the hidden gem for you, like you're talking about, you're not adding headcount to make 10% more is crazy.
Yeah.
But to add 6 headcount to make 10% more isn't that crazy. It's like, okay, that makes sense.
I think it's a problem that doesn't go away. Yeah, we were talking with Tommy Mello a week ago, and he said that he was in 20,000 homes a month. And that's obviously a lot of homes. And he was working on the same problem, obviously just to a larger scale, but he was like, how do I, without increasing much headcount or even marketing dollars or number of customers, how do I take this 20,000 homes a month that I currently walk into and double my EBITDA?
Yep.
And it's random stuff like this where you find an extra $2.5 million inside one department.
What do you say? You sell them more, you sell them something different, and there's a third one, or you find more customers.
Yeah.
So that's neat.
Yeah, but yeah, so we found a couple different unlocks. So drain service revenue about doubled, and HVAC service revenue quadrupled or something like that. Like we really basically never drove $1 ever in HVAC service. So that was net new dollars, where our technicians now drive about $2,000 a day. They used to drive $100 a day.
And you're seeing that without any kind of drop off in flips, without any drop off in units. Oh my god!
More flips.
Yeah,
more flips.
Be one of the options,
because
right?
We got better at options.
Yeah.
We literally just got better at options. So we're flipping more than we've ever flipped. Revenue has gone up. Sales have gone up. Yeah.
The worst part of this is
then what happened after that is we added in a new comp structure for managers, and we added in a new comp structure for techs, and they matched. So that way we could keep those results going and better. So we set minimum sold hour requirements by tech per day, per month, and then we had their call by calls on the same setup. So now we're starting to see that performance very regularly.
That's good.
Which is awesome.
Yeah, I mean, good.
Well, yeah,
good.
I mean, it's everybody's winning.
Yeah.
So like, we took a disastrous month in my mind, and it turned into like a insane springboard where 30 days later we're gonna have we're gonna do as much revenue in 2 weeks in May that we did in the entirety of the month of April. Like, that's insane. That's insane. Yeah.
Are you less stressed though?
No, because I'm still dealing with all the bullshit from April. In June, I'm going to feel great.
Oh, I love it. Good times. Yeah. These will be the fun moments we look back at.
If you like what we talk about on our social media, on Twitter, on this podcast, then you should be signed up for our newsletter. Go to ownedandoperated.com, where every Friday we break down our business, we break down insights, things we're learning, things we're working on, and it's good stuff. Check it out, ownedandoperated.com. Yeah, well, that was a long description of how I'm doing. The interesting Yeah, that's how we started that.
Yeah.
So the interesting thing that ended up happening, which is what you and I were actually going to talk about in this episode, is we outsold our capacity.
Especially like
capacity.
That's what I was going to ask you. So you and May sold 100% of capacity, and now you're going into June, July, which this is actually that's a big issue.
This is a pretty serious issue. Yeah. So in April, we oversold our we didn't even oversell our capacity. We oversold our fulfillment. So, okay. There are sales and there's fulfillment.
Mm-hmm.
Sales is like what you sell, and fulfillment is when the revenue is actually booked. You complete the job. For some departments, that's the same day, the same moment. I sell it and I do it. 90% of our revenue is sold, fulfilled. So fulfillment matters a lot because I could sell 200 grand today, but if it takes me a month to fulfill 200 grand, then I gained nothing from that. Like I will eventually get 200 grand. So as the business gets bigger, this is the number that we have to watch like crazy. And it got on our radar last August because we're like, what the heck is happening? We sold all this work. Why is my bank account empty? Like why is revenue terrible? Yeah, it's a huge cash flow issue. Why is revenue terrible? And then we find out that we have a $500,000 backlog in residential service. Like we're not doing new construction. This is residential service. Like that's a $500,000 backlog to replace your sewer. Like you can't have a $500,000 backlog. So we got like fanatical about managing that. And it's mainly like, how many installers do you have?
Mm-hmm.
What is your available capacity? So we dropped the ball on that in April, and we outsold our fulfillment by $250,000, which is not good. Like in dream scenario, you're within a couple percent. I sold 1.5, I fulfilled 1.5. But we oversold our capacity by $250,000 in April. So we went into May with a backlog. We have since May also outsold our fulfillment. Now we're only about 100 grand ahead of fulfillment right now, but it's enough to be a problem because we now have a $350,000 backlog. On top of that, we're adding in, we just brought on some rock stars. So that problem's only going to get worse because they're going into sales and they're going to win. So the problem only gets worse from here out. So,
I mean,
and like Jack said, this is a busy season problem.
Yeah.
And my quick take here is this is one of the reasons that you should never be a new construction and service business.
I was actually just going to say that. Could you imagine having that and AR at the same time? Like
no.
60-day
aside
AR,
from cash,
like
I mean, cash is definitely a big part of the problem here, but like it's just capacity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like if you have someone sell something today, they should be able to do it today or tomorrow.
Yeah, I mean,
and new construction means you can't do it for a month or whenever there's a slow period. So you get totally bogged down.
And with this, that's also hence our conversation offline. In my headache, in reference to my headaches, is for people who don't know, we shut down our residential remodel for plumbing. Which was a very large, I mean, probably $500,000 a year plus. I mean, I don't even want to look at how much it was. Point being, though, is we're shutting it down. We shut it down because capacity was such an issue, and we had to pull. And we've already run into this issue, right? We ran into this issue with HVAC, and we split them up.
Yeah,
got more installers. Said, hey, this is an issue. And then now we're trying to do it in plumbing because it'll eat you alive. I mean, it really is bad review.
Yeah.
Like, it's not only like, I know some people are listening to this thinking, because it's kind of, I don't want to call it a good problem, but it's like, hey, you have so much work problem, or hey, you have the wrong kind of work problem, and people are out there scraping for work. So first off, we recognize that, but this is an issue. Like, this is actually hurting.
No, I think I think it's because people take on new construction that they can't take on the good work.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that one. I'm just saying, like, your thing. I oversold 300,000. It's a problem, and people are yeah, well, screw you, John. but realistically,
but what ends up happening is like
it gives you bad reviews.
10% of that will cancel.
Yep.
The sales will cancel. They'll call and say, "Hey, I chose somebody else." They're not a week out. They're not 3 days out. So like I had 10 or 15 grand canceled today.
Yeah.
So that's something that we paid for the lead. I sent somebody out. They sold it. We ordered materials. The materials are in my warehouse. They canceled because we were too slow.
Yeah, I just wanted to be abundantly clear. Like it's actually an issue. It's not just us complaining about selling too many things. No.
It can be an existential issue.
Yeah. And it's
reputational harm. It's real cash flow, potential to lose techs, because what happens is your salespeople, no one can fulfill their work and all their jobs get canceled. So can you imagine your best techs like, hey, I sold 10 grand, 5 of it canceled because you guys are a week out because you can't get it installed. I'm going to quit and go somewhere else.
Yeah, because they're not getting paid.
That is real.
They're not getting the performance.
They're not getting paid.
Yep. And so that's exactly what we ran into. So like what's your like line item by line item going through is the exact reason why we're shutting down a $500,000 division, is because we don't have the capacity. We don't have the installers to handle it. Too many headaches, not enough cash flow.
Yep.
We're pulling service guys to go finish up work. Now we have they're pulling them off for water heaters, and it's a shit show. And we're trying to hire. I mean, like we're on there moving and getting hires and getting installers. But point being is like capacity is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So gearing up for busy season, this is the problem that we run into most. And we caught it this year early because like the reality is the reason that we could go from April being bad and May to being good is because we had available capacity. And so now we're going to outsell our capacity again. So let's say I sell $2 million in May. And honestly, that probably is the number we're going to sell. That's going to be amazing because if we have never had a $2 million month, this would be the first one ever and we're on pace for it. I won't be able to fulfill $2 million, which is going to drive me up a fucking wall. And then we're going to have technician problems. We're going to have all these issues. So hiring more people and new construction or really anything long-term gets in the way of it. It messes with your capacity. I think the other thing that, this is back to like, I don't think of myself as like a min-maxer, but it turns out I am, where you find these little things. So like I have teams that are smaller than they were 2 years ago and produce multiples more revenue. And it's because of the exact decision that you're making right now. Like you're shutting down bathroom models. I shut down bathroom models once. And I did and it used to be $300,000 to $500,000 a year for us.
Yeah.
But what that freed up was like, yes, we were doing $30,000 projects, but they took a month and it took 3 people and it was low gross margin. And now with that same crew, maybe I can do 80. And that's what we continually find is the more we say no to, the more we can maximize what we're doing.
Yeah. And the more that you can hold them accountable for that one thing, right? Rather than trying to do remodels and do, we talked about this a while back. Like if you could do just one thing and do it the best, like the ability to actually optimize that to a level would be ridiculous. Like water heaters specifically, the water heater pros or bros or whatever only do water heaters and they're able to grow crazy because that's all they do. And so to be able to reduce the number of job types and take out that whole section of just remodel work really gives us the option to focus on water heaters, service, high margin day of items, emergency services.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sweet.
I agree.
So what's your plan to try and meet capacity then? Because mine's easy. Like we're downsizing a whole department. Not easy on my heart, but easy theoretically. You have kind of a so it's hiring more installers.
It's sort of like you have to pair all these things up as close as you can get it. Like, how many leads am I getting? How many CSRs do I have? How many techs are going to run and sell it? How many installers can fulfill it? And you have to like attempt to dial that in within a few points of each other. Otherwise, you have exactly this problem. Hey, I have too many leads for the amount of call takers, so we're missing calls. And then I have too many leads for the amount of service techs, so we're booked out 3 weeks. Or I have too many sales, or I have too few sales. Like, it could be any number, it could be either up or down. Like, and any of them are problems that have to be solved. So for us, it's almost always recruitment, and then like, are we maxing the day? So like, dispatch becomes a very real part of the conversation of like, hey, if I'm expecting $4,000 a day per installer, why am I getting 2 out of this one? Well, he had 2 half-day jobs. Why do you have 2 half-day jobs? And if they were 2 half-days, why were they priced at $2,000? Like, what happened here to be priced so wrong? So, like, sales efficiency and dispatch efficiency becomes pretty important. So we started really nailing down like the dispatching and install coordination, because like that's something that makes or just like dispatching and service makes or breaks it. Like, dispatching and install that's what determines our revenue. And us doing it well could mean a $50,000 day, or us doing it badly could mean 50 grand. Us doing it well, today we did 120. That was good. Yeah. That was a good day. Yesterday we did 115. That was good. Monday we did 60. That was bad. We had bad, like, and it, like, the difference is that stark between like dispatching well and not dispatching well in install. So like, are you maximizing the day every day, or are you maximizing the week? Like, do you have guys working Saturday? Do you have guys working Sunday to make sure you can fulfill as much installs and reduce the backlog? So that's a lot of what we're doing is, are we dispatching right? We're hiring installers, and we're doing more weekend work to basically reduce backlog. Because what we are concerned about is, it's May. What happens in June? What if that backlog becomes 1 million? Like, that's a real possibility.
Yep.
I'm going to sell $500,000 this week. So it is not out of the question that we could be behind 1 million by the time we hit July.
I love it. I mean, it's a problem, but it's like your April, May problem. It's a kind of a good problem to have is, hey, we need to ramp up because we're doing well. So at least at the end of the day, if there's a silver lining to this entire conversation,
if there's a silver lining to revenue sitting there and not getting done,
yeah, it's you like, something's working to a point. Like, a lot of people can't even get that to work. So
yeah, I agree. How are you prepping for busy season?
Same, actually. We are training, because we have enough CSRs and dispatchers. We've just redid our whole call center, but still having to train on the job. And then how to book, when to book, P1, P2, P3, dispatch for dollars, like all the fun buzzwords we talk about. Like, we are implementing those programs in our business, and then we are actively hiring. Like, we have 3 open job positions for plumbers at the moment, maybe 4. And we've brought on 2 sub crews that we know are decent to help us out with any kind of finishing up remodel work that we currently have on the book, so that we can focus only on service. And so we have a bunch of positions open, and then we have a few positions open in HVAC too. Not on the install side. We're pretty good on the install side. We left ourselves a little capacity. We're around that 70% mark this month. So we're expecting to grow into that. We brought somebody on last month, which helped us hit like one of our best months that we've ever done. Actually, the best month we've ever done and it was solely HVAC install was the driver.
Nice. Yeah, I think, we're talking, I'm trying to figure out how to say this.
He's trying to say, Jack, I'm proud of you, and like, it's just not coming out. Jack. It's just not coming out.
Yeah. Hey, Jack, I'm really proud of you.
Proud of you.
Yeah. What I was going to say was, it's average ticket. It's an average ticket problem. It's 9:30, 9:40. So like, my brain's slow, but it's the more stuff you like, the less you do, the more you can optimize.
Yeah.
And the more you can optimize, the higher your average ticket goes. And that came to my mind because you were like, oh, it was all HVAC install. And I've been thinking about this a lot over the past couple months because as we've gotten better at options and our sales process and really dialed that in and like dialed in pricing and like across the board, like really just good improvements, our average ticket as a company has like doubled. And that's ridiculous. And like, I don't think people would believe me if we showed the numbers, but like it is very normal now for our plumbers to do about $8,000 of sales a day. It's like a normal day for us for most of our plumbers.
That doesn't make sense.
It's nonsense.
I'm gonna not sleep tonight because of that one single fact right there. That's nonsense.
I'll screen share you. A few months ago, I was sitting there looking at this freaking whiteboard.
I'm gonna text my division manager for plumbing and let him know that so that he can feel bad and not sleep tonight either.
I don't want to tell you that that's the average tech. I don't want to tell you what the best are doing on it.
Send me it so I can send it to them and say, get to work.
Yeah.
Like, Jack,
but like the more we've dialed it in, the better we've gotten. So that means we sell more softeners. Hey, softeners are $4,500. Hey, we sell more stacks. They're this. So we've like, the more we've dialed this in, the more we've said no, the more we've optimized capacity. And it's like, it's this maximizing thing. The more we've like honed this in, our average ticket used to be like $450 in plumbing. And now our plumbing average ticket is, I think, $2,700.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know anybody else with a $2,700 plumbing average ticket.
We're at $450, like $400, $450.
Yeah.
And so like, I mean, it makes sense though. Like you get the actual like, hey, here are the big drivers down. You solidify them, lock them in, and like that's what you focus on. You can be really, really good on the sale. You can be really, really good on the install.
Yeah.
And everybody's happy because they have an expert in there showing them, teaching them, educating them on options, and then delivering on those options that they've bought at like a really, really high quality.
Yeah.
So I love it. I mean, that's kind of, I believe in it. And that's the big thing is like, I know that this is the way.
Yeah.
And I believe in it. And that's why I'm doing it. Like, that's why we shut it down.
Yeah. All right.
Let's wrap it up.
So today we covered options being a problem, how to turn a cruise ship like a rowboat, and chain of accountability a little bit, and prepping for busy season, and how all of those things are really the same problem.
And how Jack wants to be Bruce Buffer.
Yes. Yeah.
This was good.
Looking forward to the week ahead. We'll close about $500,000 in sales this week, which should be fun. Can't wait to see what we close next week. And move into June. I'm really ready for my $2 million month. And we are close. Closest we got was like 1.85 in January. And we're on track to like, it's 1.9. And I'm like, come on, we can squeeze a little 100 in there.
OT.
We can.
We're doing OT or we're going to blast through capacity with OT just for a vanity metric.
Yeah.
Solely.
Yes, solely.
Awesome. This is great.
Cool. Thanks everyone for tuning in to Owned and Operated. If you like what you heard, ownedandoperated.com. I actually think we have a new website, so check that out. Sign up for the newsletter and check us out everywhere that we are, which is basically everywhere. Thanks for tuning in to Owned and Operated, the podcast for home service entrepreneurs. If you enjoyed today's episode, please hit the like button and subscribe to the podcast. If you have any questions or topics you'd like us to cover, feel free to reach out. You can find me on Twitter at @WilsonCompanies. I'll see you next time.